how to truly have a safe and really effective vinyasa to use within your vinyasa classes. So many times when you go to the yoga studio, you take a vinyasa class and they say flow through your vinyasa, or they walk you through it once or twice, but really teachers just don't have enough time in that hour-long class to break down the vinyasa the way it should so that you feel comfortable with it and you have modifications to fit your body. So between the workbook with the photographs that you've been given and this video, you should feel really strong in your vinyasa and also know how to advance your vinyasa as you move through your practice and become a more strong yogi, right? Like you just get more comfortable with it. So here we go. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you what a vinyasa is, and then we're going to break it down from easiest to hardest. And it's okay if you can't get all the way through them. This is a progression, right? So you're going to find where you are and work there, and then work your way up. So let's get right into it. So I'm going to start in Adho Mukha Shavasana, or downward facing dog, creating a nice V shape, inverted V shape with my body. My arms are nice and long. I'm pushing through my fingertips, opening through my shoulders, gently pressing my chest towards my thighs without dumping too much of my chest. Working my knees towards straight and my feet flat towards the ground, but you might have a bend in your knees with your heels off the ground to start, and that is okay. Your gaze or drishti is between your calves or your thighs, maybe towards your belly button if you have a more advanced practice. And then from here, we're going to shift forward into our high plank. Working on keeping our body in a nice straight alignment. Our gaze is slightly in front of us. We'll inhale here. On our exhale, we'll lower halfway, and then we'll flip our toes, Urdhva Mukha Shavasana, upward facing dog. Our gaze lifts slightly towards the ceiling, our chest pressed through our shoulders, and then on your exhale, you flip back over the toes and make your way to a downward facing dog. So that right there is your vinyasa. And now I'm going to show you some different variations. So everyone has different things they come to their mat with, different mobility issues, different injuries, and I just want to make sure that you have what you feel comfortable with for your vinyasa. So one of the first options for vinyasa is when they tell you to flow through your vinyasa to come into a tabletop pose. Tuck your toes, your shoulders over your wrists, your hips over your knees. You will go upward facing dog, or sort of like your upward facing dog, like cow pose. Lift your gaze. Exhale, curl it in cat pose. And then from there, lift your heels and stretch back to your downward facing dog. So again, your option would be take an inhale here, take an exhale round, and at the bottom of that exhale, make your way back to your downward facing dog. So you can use that as an alternative, or we can show you Cobra Pose. So from here, we're going to start with our knees down. So we're going to come forward into a plank position with our knees on the ground. And you can do this lowering halfway or lowering all the way with your knees on the ground. So if you feel like you're having trouble stabilizing through your shoulders, I'd like you to try this with your knees on the ground and feel a little more stable here. So you'll shift forward, and then from here, we're going to lower all the way to our bellies. So keeping our navel drawn in, lower all the way to our bellies with our elbows at our sides, our chin or our forehead come to the mat. From here, make sure your toes are untucked and stretched out long behind you. Your hands are down by the base of your ribs. You're going to fire through your glutes and tuck your tailbone under. Push your toes into the mat and then gently lift into a baby cobra. You should be able to lift your hands using your back muscles and again pressing the front of your pelvis into the mat. So from here you inhale up into your cobra and then you exhale down. So if I was going to incorporate that into my vinyasa, I would come from my plank, whether it's on the knees or off. I'd lower all the way to the ground with an exhale, untuck my toes, inhale into cobra, exhale back down while I tuck my toes, either press myself up through a table to downward facing dog, or press myself up through a plank to downward facing dog. So let's go through those options again. So an option here with Cobra is starting with on your knees, take your inhale, exhale, lower to your belly, inhale, baby cobra, Exhale, press back to table. Take an inhale. Exhale, press down dog. Or if you'd like to press through the plank, you'll come to your knees. You could do it from the full push-up if you can too. So from here you shift forward. Exhale, lower. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, lower and tuck those toes. Inhale, press up to a plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. So that would be another variation for you. So if upward facing dog or Urdhva Mukha Shavasana is a little too much of a back bend for you, I recommend baby cobra. One of the biggest differences between baby cobra and upward facing dog is your legs. So when I'm in cobra, my thighs are imprinted on the ground. They're planted on the ground. So I'm lifting into cobra. Even if I lift into full cobra, my thighs are on the ground. Now if I'm going to lift into upward facing dog, I lower halfway, my thighs stay off of the ground, and I lift and open through my chest. So that is one of the largest changes that you get from upward facing dog and cobra, is the thighs, the legs, the engagement in the lower body. Now let's say you have a pretty strong vinyasa and you want to take it to the next level. So let me show you some options here. So Chaturanga is another option. So that is a one-legged chaturanga. So where we are lowering, so we're in our plank, lifting here, exhale, lower halfway. To do Ekapada, what we're going to do is just come from three-legged dog. It's a really easy transition. We'll inhale our right leg high. Exhale, we shift forward, point our toe. Inhale, shift our shoulders over our fingertips. And then exhale with control, lowering halfway. From here, we'll place our toes back on the ground. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. So that is always an option, especially if you're moving through a vinyasa flow and they tell you to step back to plank. When you step back, so let's say, hypothetically, we were in Warrior 2. Your teacher told you to take a big inhale. Exhale, hands down to the mat. Inhale, step back to a plank. If you wanted to take Ekapada, you could just keep that leg lifted. And then just alternate your legs. So when you did the left side, you would keep your left leg lifted. So that would be one way to make your vinyasa just a little bit more advanced. And a third way is chin stand. So if you're same thing, you're coming from your vinyasa flow. So maybe you end in Warrior 2. Take an inhale here. Exhale, your hands come down to the mat. Inhale, you'll come back to your three-legged dog. And then exhale, you'll shift forward. Elbows come into your sides. Your chin taps the mat. You lift your toes. And then you inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. So that would be an option to enhance your vinyasa. So make sure you check out the advanced series of videos to know how to do a chin stand if you don't already know how to do a chin stand. And that'll just kind of break that component down for you. But if chin stand's already in your practice, that's a great way to use it within your practice. So what we discussed here was safety in your vinyasa. We wanted to make sure that we're stacking our joints, we're dropping our knees if we need the extra support. We can go all the way to our belly and do baby cobra, or we can stay lifted and only come down halfway and do upward facing dog. Or you always have the option to do tabletop with a cat-cow, pressing back to your down dog from there. And in any and all yoga classes, you always have the option to skip your vinyasa. So just remember that if you're tired one day, or your shoulder's bothering you, or your wrist bothering you, do yourself a favor and just skip your vinyasa. So hopefully this helps you learn a little bit more about your vinyasa flow and how to do it within class safely. And we'll keep breaking some poses down for you. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and you can come back to this video as much as you need to see the alignment and hear the cues of how I flow through that vinyasa.